Alright guys, here I am back again with the beautiful 2009 Lincoln mkS. Today we're going to go ahead and do a rear and front brake and rotor change. Recently I've seen that there's been some issues with the Lincoln mkS that is synonymous to the Ford 500, Ford Flex, Ford Taurus, where the brakes have been known to be dragging in the back. And yes, that did happen on this 2009 Lincoln mkS as well. I essentially felt as if the emergency brake was on. I'm going to go ahead and do a rear brake change and a front brake change, and hopefully I won't have the same symptoms that I had when I actually did my live stream, where I actually removed the brake caliper bracket on the left side of the car and found out that the bracket was completely seized. The guide pin bolt was essentially metal on metal inside of its whole housing. So it caused me to stop the live stream and order a brand new brake caliper bracket. So this is going to be the right side. I already have the car jacked up and safely secured by 2 jack stands. So we're going to go ahead and see if I can complete this rear brake job today. And once I'm done, we'll also do the fronts. Let's do it. So before we get to removing the brake caliper and the brake caliper bracket, let's do a pre-inspection. So looking at the brake pads, it looks like these brake pads are not worn at all. And I remember the live stream and looking at the brake pads on the left side, they were razor thin on the inside, all because of a stuck caliper guide bolt. All right, so let's go ahead and remove this brake caliper. So in order to do that, we're gonna go ahead and remove these guide bolts. Right here we have a 13 millimeter. We have one here and one here. Let's first start with this one. There we go. So I'm not going to remove this all the way, so I'm just going to go ahead and go to the bottom as well. So now that I have them both off, let's go ahead and remove these brake caliper bolts. We're going to push this up. Just like that. As you can see from the factory, they were greased up. So before we reinstall it, I definitely will clean this up with some brake clean. So what I want to do while I have the chance, I'm actually going to use the wind back tool and actually rewind this back now, because it has the old rotor and the old brakes. So this way, if it scratches up against it, it would be no consequence because I'm removing all of this anyways. So first, let's go ahead and hit it with some brake clean. Alright, you can use a wire brush. I'll just use one of these old brittle pads just to get the gunk off of it. So this way it shouldn't have a problem reseating itself. As you can see, it's at 12 and 6 o'clock, and that's the same way it has to go back down. So when I do use the caliper wind back tool, I have to make sure it's in this exact same position. Alright, that should be good enough. Set this here. Now let's get the tool. Here goes the caliper wind back tool. First we're going to get this. Place this on the back side. We're going to use number 6, because 6, as you can see, is at the position of 12 and 6. We're going to place this here, just like that. We're going to use this to push the caliper back. We're going to wind it back, just like that. This way, when we're reinstalling it, it'll have enough space to go over the brand new brake pads. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and extend the brake caliper out a little bit, and then connect the caliper wind back tool to it. So we're going left on this tool at this time until it can't go anymore. Finger tighten. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some paper or some type of gloves to help you with some strength in your hands, because it can get kind of hard when it's actually going back. So we're going to go clockwise. Okay, ready? Let's do it. You see that? See it winding back? Let's get you in there a little bit. As you see, it's getting a little looser, so what we'll do is go left a little bit more, so tighten it back up and start again. All right, so it can't go back anymore, so essentially we're done. Now it's at 12 and 6, as you can see right here. So in order to remove this, we're gonna go ahead and get this wrench and go clockwise. There you go. All right, after putting a little anti-seize within the brake caliper, I'm just gonna go ahead and position this back over here. All right, just get it out of the way. It can stay there, it's fine. The hoses won't be bothered. Now, it's time to remove these brake pads. They may be a little tough, so if they are, you can use your pry bar just like this. See that? Comes right off. See, they still have a lot of meat on them. Same with the ones in the back. See that? Not bad at all. Next, we're gonna go ahead and remove this brake caliper bracket. Switch to a 15 millimeter. I'll go ahead and use a ratcheting wrench to make it quicker. Alright, set these two brake caliper bracket bolts aside and remove the brake caliper bracket. Alright, let's inspect the brake caliper guide pin bolts. And from my inspection, it's looking like at this time that they're seized as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to soak it in this water for a little bit to see if it can loosen up those guide pin bolts. And if it cannot, if it's seized metal on metal, then most likely I will have to buy another one. Okay? And then I'll have to continue this particular vlog later on when this comes in the mail. And while that brake caliper bracket is soaking in the solution, and it's just water and soap, I'll go ahead and remove this rotor. As you can see, this bad boy is completely rusted and warped. Alright, so I have the new Centric rotor on standby. Let's go ahead and remove it. This is a T40 Torx bit. Alright. For the rear rotor, this is Centric part number 120.61081. This is a premium brake rotor, installation ready finish. Okay, I do not need to use any brake clean to coat the surface of this new rotor. Ooh, nice. Let's compare. As you can see, this one's all rusted and old. Alright, everything fits, everything is aligned. Not a problem. Just like that. Before I install this new rotor, let's go ahead and hit it with some brake clean to clean this surface up. You can use a wire brush, I just use a Brillo. It's not completely rusted, it's just surface rust. Let it dry. Once it's dry, I'll go ahead and hit the surface with some aluminum anti-seize lubricant all around here, but not on the threads. Okay, let's go ahead and coat it with some anti-seize. Okay, now that it's completely coated, let's go ahead and install that rotor. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and torque this down to 20 Newton meters. Hear that? That's 20 Newton meters. Alright, let's go ahead and check on this brake caliper to see if the guide pin bolts are actually seized. As you can see, took the boot off for a second, and look at that. It is completely rusted. 100% rusted. So the last thing I'm going to do is get the impact wrench and see if I can remove these. If I can't, then new brake caliper bracket is what I need to get. Alright, I have my impact wrench right here. This is a 15 millimeter. Let's see if we can take these guide pin bolts out. And failure. As you can see, it broke off. There was nothing that could be done to save it. Not one thing. See that? Let's go in the sun. See that? There was nothing that could be done. 100% seized. Same thing on the left side. So now this definitely gives more credence to why this car was kind of always sluggish when I was driving. It was just dragging against the brake rotor the entire time because these guide pins weren't going in and out like they should. Alright, so let's look at the other one and see if it was even possible to remove. It spins, but it's just not going anywhere. It's not going in and out. So it would have never worked as well. So one could have been saved, essentially this one, if I could get this off, but it looks like it's stuck as well. But either way, it doesn't matter. So what I'll do is I'll reconvene. And we're back, everyone. Finally, the package has arrived. Currently I have the new and improved brake caliper, which also goes for the 2011 to 2015 Ford Explorer. Also would work for the Flex, also would work for the Taurus, and of course this 2009 Lincoln mkS. So I'll show you the part number. We have CT4Z2B511-A. Once again, this is the new and improved brake caliper bracket. The previous brackets weren't coated as such, so this has the new coating on it, which helps against corrosion. So we're still going to need to place some anti-seize within these portions where the spring clips would go, but it has a new coating which helps fight against that corrosion. Okay, so the other one was completely corroded here at these spots, and at the same time the caliper pins were actually frozen and seized within their boots. So now, as you can see, this particular purchase comes with them. So keep in mind, guys, do not get the aftermarket portion of this caliper bracket anchor plate is what they also call it, because normally it would not come with these guide pins in the boots. It comes with it with the OEM Ford Motorcraft version. Okay, so remember, get this particular one. All right, so let's go ahead and place some anti-seize where the spring clips would sit, and then we're going to go ahead and install it. All we need is just a light coating, not too much, not too small, wherever the spring clips would sit. Good thing about this particular brake caliper anchor plate bracket is that it does already include the silicone grease inside, so no need to grease the guide pins at all. Go ahead and put these spring clips on there. Keep in mind, we want to make sure this particular tab is always on the outside, not on the inside. If we did that way, it would scratch against the brake disc, aka the brake rotor. Just like that. Just push it in there nice and tight. Go ahead and place this on this particular housing. This is going to be 15 millimeter bolts. Start with the one at the bottom. Now it's time to torque it down. We're going to torque it down to 76 foot-pounds. One more time. There we go. Good job. we go. It worked. Now before we install our new brake pads, let's go ahead and coat it with some anti-seize on the back. Some people just coat it right around this circle, but it's okay if you want to do it the entire way. Doesn't hurt it one bit. Time to install our brake pads. Just push it in. Just like that. Same thing on the other side. Just like that. Time to install the brake caliper. Push the pins back, slide down, just like that. To install the brake caliper, we're going to go ahead and install these two 13mm bolts. Start with the one at the bottom first, make sure it's lined up, and place it in. Time to torque it down to 24 foot-pounds. There you go, it's not too tight at all. That's it. Brakes are done, guys. Alright, so now let's go ahead and reinstall this wheel. Start at the top, then at the bottom for a start pattern. From here, what I'll do is I'll lower the car and I'll torque these wheels down to 100 foot-pounds, and that should be it. Next up, we're going to go ahead and do the front brakes and rotors. Don't be afraid to look through my channel. We have some Lincoln mkS fixes, Lincoln mkZs. We also have some Toyota Centuries. We have pretty much all cars that you would just not expect one to have in my channel. Alright guys, don't forget, don't be afraid. Watch through my entire video selection. So just make sure you follow the link right up above, as I will split the video up because I know that this video is essentially too long for just both jobs, so I'll split it up into two. Alright, so follow the link right up above for the front brake pads and you will see exactly how to do your entire brakes for your 2009 Lincoln mkS. Alright, that's it guys. Watch my other videos, more to come.